Hey, what's up, team? It's Sherman here from Geek Psychology. Today, I'm going to tackle a big misunderstood topic, and that is what is introversion and extroversion. A lot of people just, that common definition is out there of like, introverts just like to read books and stay by themselves like hermit crabs. And then extroverts are all over the place and talking to everybody and light up the room at all points in time and all that stuff. And there are, some behaviors that come out of the whole meaning behind introversion and extroversion, like some of those behaviors, but it's not always true and it doesn't always happen. So let's explain, right? Introversion and extroversion is basically about where is your mental focus, where is your mental energy? Is it focused out of yourself or into yourself? And everybody has a natural preference of one of them, but as we've talked about before, or I guess as I've talked about before, I keep doing that. Extroverts will have an introverted auxiliary function, and introverts will have an extroverted auxiliary function. So there is a balance. There's a necessity for both of those, but you have a preference for one of those. You're not like in the middle. There's no in the middle necessarily. It's, do you prefer introversion or extroversion? So let's talk about what it is. So extraversion is basically, like I said, a focus on the outer world, the objective world. And this can be in many different forms. There are 4 different types of extraversion and 4 different types of introversion, right? But it's basically focus on the things outside of yourself, not connected to your own personal understanding. In the sense of not connected to your personal understanding based on your past and how you've kind of developed this structure for understanding the world or whatever it is. So for example, an extroverted sensor is going to look for the tangible, sensory-based things that it can pick up in the environment outside of itself. Extroverted intuitive is going to look for the different connections and patterns outside in the real world, in real time. Extroverted thinker is going to look for different measurements, empirical evidence, ways that it can kind of manipulate the situation to get a result, to go for progress. Extroverted feeler is going to look for how you can connect to people in the environment and how you can kind of build a harmonious structure of the people in the environment. Because of this, it is more in real time. It's not processing and then acting, it's acting and then quickly processing and then acting again. There's less time needed to take that information and adapt it and go for the next step, whatever that step may be. So this is why they need to initiate, and this is why you get that stereotype of like extroverts are just out there all the time and talking to new people and stuff. It's because that energizes them. They get new information, they can connect it to something else, and continue to seek outward, out of themselves. I consider it to be like a game like StarCraft or something like that. It's a real-time strategy game. You have to plan, you have to act in accordance to what's going on right then in the moment. So what is introversion then? Introversion is the opposite of that, I guess you could think of it like that. Introversion is taking in things and trying to get a subjective or personal understanding of what that situation is. It's the inner world of ideas and feelings or whatever it is, logic. And there are 4 different types of that. So real quickly, I guess introverted sensing is taking in those tangible details and connecting it to ideas and tangible details from the past, different objects from the past, experiences from the past, memories, those kind of things. So it's reprocessing the connection from the outer world. It like hits it and comes back, goes over it, and then acts again. Introverted intuition would be stopping and kind of taking a step back, getting this holistic idea, this holistic understanding of where things are going and the patterns that are coming about, and trying to take that and kind of use it to adapt and change the future, or just understand where things are going. But it's not really taking something and expanding from there with an understanding. Introverted thinking would be looking at something and trying to piece it together with its own knowledge of, what category does this fit in and how does it work, and, what puzzle piece, like if you had a big puzzle set, does this piece actually fit within this puzzle, or is it in this puzzle? It's trying to piece together all this information, categorize, and then check for inaccuracies based on its own personal understanding of how the world works. That was a little bit longer than I wanted to for that one, and introverted feeling is looking at your own subjective personal values and understanding, is this congruent with myself? Does this fit who I am as a person? So as you can see, they're all based on subjective understandings of the outer world, kind of meshed with your own personal experiences and that understanding. So it's not real time. It's not like dive into a battle and then deal with what happens as it's there. It's a little bit further back, right? I consider this to be more like a 4X game, or like a tactics game. You see the situation, you kind of think about it, plan your move, hit go, you move. Okay, this happens, okay, rethink it, try to understand, okay, here we go, next step. Because of that need for reprocessing the information and stuff, it takes more energy, because you have to bring it in and you have to figure out where it fits in your personal understanding and all that stuff, and then you can act, right? So this is why introverts are kind of stereotypically thought of as they don't like being around a lot of people. And that's partially true, right? Because being around these live, active situations with many different things going on, and then having to process all that at the same time while interacting is draining. It's pretty exhausting, trust me. And that's how you get overwhelmed in the situation. Whereas the extrovert, if they're not interacting with, the outer world, the objective world, then they're going to get kind of antsy, because they're stuck kind of reflecting and going over all this stuff on how everything connects to their subjective past and their own experiences. And this isn't to say that extroverts can't introvert and reflect, and introverts can't, interact with the outer world. It doesn't work like that, right? There's just a need for more focus and energy on one of those. I say need, but it's more of a preference, I guess. And if you don't know if you are an introvert or an extrovert, you can kind of look into when your inferior function kind of flares up. Is it pushing you to extrovert or introvert? Because it's going to be the opposite of your normal hero style, your dominant function. So as an introverted feeler specifically, my inferior function is extroverted thinking. Extroverted thinking, as I explained before, is about, moving things around and making measurements and putting systems into place to get things done. So when I get stressed out, I burst out, right? I can't control my inner situation, and I need to just try to get control of things, right? As let's see, as an extrovert, let's maybe extroverted intuitive, okay? You're normally kind of trying to make connections and see how these things can be played with and shift the dynamics and move things around in different contexts to understand them. But when you're in a bad situation and your inferior function starts flaring up and you get in the grip of it, you stop and you go into yourself, and you have maybe internal problems like your stomach starts hurting, you overthink things, you can't figure out where, if you go in this direction, is that going to be the right direction? Well, then you're never able to change directions, and the world like closes in on you, right? It's because you're trying to piece together all this information in an unhealthy way as your introverted function, and it just causes you to overwhelm. But it's because you're stuck inside your head. As an extrovert, you naturally want to go out and assess the situation, at that time. So I hope that made sense, and I hope it cleared up some of the things and some of the stereotypes that are usually out there. I just saw something recently on Facebook about it, so I guess it came in good timing to do this video. But if you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, as always, comment below, like, share, do that whole thing. And I will see you in the next video, which will be about perceiving functions and judging functions. Yep, that's what it's going to be about. All right, good luck, have fun. See ya.